channel. Shauna here. Welcome back to Vlogmas. Charlie is back here playing. We're in his room right now. Oh, he saw himself on camera, so he's gonna come take a peek. Who is that? Say hi, friends! Say hi! Can you say hi? No, you can't go play with it, honey. So I realized that I had never told y'all the story about his ER trip a couple weeks ago. I think I mentioned it in his 9-month update, but then I never actually told y'all about it. Oh, this might be an issue. He's going to try to reach for the camera. We may have to find a higher space. So I want to go ahead and talk to you guys a little bit about our ER trip the other couple weeks ago. It's been about 3 weeks now. So Charlie has been struggling with, no, you can't have those, with ear infections since he was 6 months old, basically. So I guess 6 months old is about the time babies really start getting ear infections, and that was definitely true for Charlie and for us. See if I can position it so you can see him playing. Right around 6 months, he started getting ear infections back to back to back to back to back. Ever since he started daycare, he's had a lot of colds, and I guess just then is when they started affecting his ears. First round, they tried just first time he had an ear infection, they just tried amoxicillin. Didn't work. We had to go back and try a different antibiotic. And it finally kicked it out, and then within a week, he had another one. And it's pretty much been like that ever since he turned 6 months old. This last stretch is the longest we've been for a while without an ear infection. I think we're working on 3 weeks right now, and that's the longest it's been since he turned 6 months old. He's had 5 ear infections, but 2 of them have been difficult to get rid of, and he's had to be on multiple antibiotics for them. So they've lasted a long time. So this last ear infection he had, we went into the doctor and he had an ear infection in his right ear. They gave him the same antibiotics they'd given him for the last ones. That seemed to work. It was fine. A week later, we noticed he was rubbing his ears again. It seemed to get better the first few days, but then about a week later, we noticed he was rubbing his ears again. So we took him back into the doctor, and they looked in his ears. And not only was the right ear still infected, his left ear was now infected as well, which wasn't infected when we went in the week before. So while he was on antibiotics, he got an ear infection in that ear. So once again, they switched the antibiotics into a different strength one, and they decided that it would be best if we also gave him a shot of antibiotics in his legs, which they did. And this was a Saturday. Later that night, about 1 a.m., so I guess it was technically the next morning, about 1 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and he was in bed with me, and I just laid my head on his cheek, and I felt ice cold. Like, so cold. Yeah. And so I took his temperature, and it was only 96.4. I called the nurse's line because I wasn't sure. I'd never heard of a baby this age temperature being low. So I called the nurse's line, and they gave me a couple things to try to warm him up. So what I did was I took a large blanket that we had, and I threw it in the dryer for a little bit, and then I wrapped him up in that, making sure to cover his head and his toes. And I also made him a warm bottle of milk and gave that to him. And within 30 minutes, after 30 minutes, I took his temperature again, and it was really low. It was 96. I don't think it had changed at all. I think it was still 96.4. At that time, the doctor told me I needed to take him or the nurse's line told me I needed to go ahead and take him into the ER, because a low temperature, I guess, can mean different things, some of which are pretty scary. So we took him into the ER, and it was awful. I will try to insert some pictures here if I can. It was in the middle of the night. He was cranky, wanting to sleep, and of course, ER rooms, are all bright, and people coming and poking and prodding you. They ended up giving him an IV and drawing blood, and it was miserable. They had to tape his arm straight so that it wouldn't bend, and it was just so sad to see him like that. They also did an x-ray of his chest, and they noticed that there was some fogginess, but it wasn't pneumonia or anything like that. Hi. And they ended up, so after a ton of blood work, ton of tests, they did tell us that some of his liver enzyme numbers were a little off. But that could be normal, and then his potassium was off, but that can happen, I guess, when you're drawing baby's blood. It can, if the person who is drawing it isn't familiar with baby's blood, they can accidentally break the cell or something, and it can make the potassium numbers off. And so he had a couple numbers that were a little off, but nothing that was too alarming. So they ended up telling us that basically when a baby is sick, it can go either way, their temperature. It can either go, buddy, there is no milk in there. But so they ended up telling us that basically with babies are sick, their temperature can go either way. It can go high or low. He was coming after the camera. And it could mean nothing. So they basically just told us to watch him, and if it got really, really low again, that we need to just go ahead and take him to the Children's Hospital in Austin, because they would be better equipped to deal with it than they were at just our normal ER. But luckily it never dropped that low again. It still never was very high. For 3 days, it stayed way below average, but like in the 97, like low 97s, high 96s, low 97s. It was a good 3 days before it was back up to 98 anything. But they told us that it could just be because he was sick, which is weird. I've never heard of that. My mom is a nurse and a lactation consultant, which I've mentioned, and she talked to a few doctors that she knows and works with, and they all told her that actually for kids this age, it really isn't that common, that it's pretty uncommon for a temperature to drop that low. But it hasn't happened again. Knock on wood, it won't. Because it was pretty scary. You know, you always hear of babies with really high temperatures and the dangers of that. But I was reading up on some of the dangers of low temperature, and that's almost just as scary. You know, it can affect the brain and development and everything if their body temperature stays low for too long. It's not good either. So it was a pretty scary situation. I have a feeling with how into everything this little boy is, though, that we will probably have some more ER trips in our future. Unfortunately. But I just wanted to update y'all and let you guys know about that, especially if any of the other moms have ever experienced this, because it's scary, and I want you to know there are others out there, and I would like to know if there are others out there. If any of you have ever taken your kid to the hospital, or if you've ever had a baby who's had a low temperature, let me know, especially an older one, because I know it does happen with young, like little babies, but at this stage they should be able to pretty much maintain their own body heat. So let me know if it's ever happened to you. Say hi. Jar Jar. Jar Jar. Jar Jar. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hi. Aww, I love you. Are you about ready for bed? Yeah, are you tired? Alright, you guys, well, it's late here. I just wanted to share that story with you quickly and let you get a little fix of Charlie. Because, I mean, he's stinking cute and walking all over the place. If you guys haven't been watching that. I mean, look at this kid. Just on the move, right? Like, look at that. Uh-oh. Did he fall down? Come here. Did you get ouchie? Hi. Oh. Oh, it's okay. It's just a little ouchie. Say, oh, better. Take it off. There's your pinky. You dropped it over there. Oh. We're going to just sit down and go temperature. Say thank you. Thank you. Okay, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get this little fellow to bed. He didn't have an afternoon nap tonight, so he is tired and cranky. But thank you, guys. Thank you guys for joining us though, and joining us for another episode of Vlogmas, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye guys. Hey, looking at yourself. Can you see? Can you say night night? You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Good night, friends.